Get to making with jive, boy. Say shout. When it hits you, yes, yes, yes. Yes, you shout. When it hits you, yes, yes, yes. Yes. When it hits you, yes.
Well, I think. Oh, the hair. And it's 12. Oh, my goodness. Welcome to Live with the Bougie Duchess. And today's hot topic, Franny's got curlers in her hair. Oh, and I decided that you guys get to see the event live and raw and just as is with my co-host Cindy. Cindy, go ahead, wave, say hello. Say hello to everybody. You haven't hit your live? Go live. There you go. Alrighty, and so here we are. I'm almost out of the curlers. I can do this stuff kind of almost blindfolded, honey. Truly, I think it's the sign of femininity and 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 being a woman. And there we go. The hair is done. Alrighty. Alright. Okay. Alright, so one more time. Welcome. Oh, let's see. Let me see if I can do something like this and that and the other thing. This, that, and the other thing. Here we go. Pull that down. Pull this over here. Grab a little hair clip here. There we go. And scrunch it on top of my head. Fluff the back. There. Does it look all right? Okay. Good.
I was going to do an updo today. I was like, let me do an updo, but I was like, nah.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So here we are. So we have a few hot topics. Let me put my little hair stuff over here. We have a few hot topics that I would love to talk about. First thing is the Supreme Court had a ruling this week, which Supreme Court. So they're doing everything from at home. Okay, and one of the things that they ruled on, federal law, okay, so this is the gist of what the Supreme Court ruled on. In the United States, the Supreme Court ruled that federal law prohibits employment discrimination against lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people, LGBT people. This ruling will have a direct impact on education now, but will likely affect schools even more in the future. So that's what they're saying. Unfortunately, in the private sector, private businesses, you can't stop somebody from discriminating against you. You really can't. They spoof your tea, honey. They don't want to hire you. They don't have to tell you. You see what I'm saying? The Supreme Court will make a ruling and it helps keep honest people honest. It's like locks on a door. Locks on a door keep honest people honest. Do you think that lock keeps a thief out of your house? Oh, okay then. So, it is wonderful. I'm sure this is very upsetting to the Trump administration, who does not want the LGBTQ people to have employment rights, because the military also employs LGBTQ people.
What I don't understand is, like, what is their heart on about transgender people? Because, like, it seems like everything that Trump's doing is all transgenders. Like, does he want to be with a transgender? Or what's the real, like, tea that's going on with this? Because I don't understand. I'm like, why don't they just lay off of us? Like, leave us alone. Like, you
Right.
know, like, what is there?
Well, I don't know what ticks through his head.
I don't understand what it is.
I don't. I do know that in the past, when he ran the Miss Universe pageant, there was this other pageant called the Miss Gay Universe pageant.
Yeah.
And with a fever, this man attacked the Miss Gay Universe pageant and did everything he could for 10 years to drive that pageant into bankruptcy.
He wants to transgender.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
Allegedly, whatever, but I think he's not, I know Trump got.
I think when you throw a rock so hard in a certain direction, you're saying something about yourself.
Because it's always like about the military, like, oh, I don't want transgenders in the military. Well, under your administration, I ain't fighting that one. Like, you know what? I ain't trying to fight, go and get myself killed under Trump. So, it's a transgender military, it's a transgender health care. It's always like, what is it? Like,
well,
I don't get it.
I got into that. I did. I got into that argument with somebody that said, that felt that that transgender people should pay for their own sex change. Let me explain something to you about when they allocated those funds for that. That money is there. If they don't spend it on that, somebody's going to steal that money. Just like with education and the lottery. When that money doesn't get spent on education and the lottery, some politician will, and when I mean rob, I mean allocate that money towards another program that benefits another group. So I don't care what the argument is. When funds are allocated towards a minority, it is because there's that kind of money there for that. And anytime I hear somebody protest, whether it's for transgender, whether it's for the black community, the Asian community, I don't care what the protest is, the first thing I think is it's based in racism. I think you're hateful and you don't want to see somebody else happy in some kind of way. It just, unfortunately, now I do believe that people have the right to view a certain opinion. But see, I have an understanding of government. And see, government has committees. And before they decide, are we going to legalize sex changes, they got to decide, do we have the funds to do such a thing? And once they made that decision, they decided, now not everybody goes into sex change just because the funds are there for it, but the government decided that, okay, this is a population that is having an issue in a situation, and money got set aside for that. If it wouldn't have gotten set aside for that, it would have been set aside for roads, or it would have been set aside for something. It would have been allocated for something. But there is a surplus of money. And I'm going to tell you something about this particular government. This particular government has been funneling money to his supporters in certain ways. These loans that were meant for the Small Business Administration, these big corporations scooped up that money. And these small businesses, some of the corporations felt guilty about it and gave the money back. But a lot of these small businesses that were hurting, that needed that money, were left out. And many of them were minorities, didn't speak the language, were a struggling mom and pop business that supported not only their family, but maybe supported the local community in some kind of way. And I just think it's horrendous. So and I believe Trump has appointed two of the justices, and one of the justices, I'm sure that Trump probably feels like, you know what? This is not why I put you on the courts. You know, I'm sure he probably felt like, what the fuck kind of ruling is this out of you? You know?
It actually brings me a lot of relief. You know what I mean? Because I know that Trump had his intentions on putting those people, like Gorsuch and, but damn it, the rule of law is the rule of law, and at least then we can know, like, you know what, we're going to go to the Supreme Court and have a fair ruling of what's based on the law. You
Right.
know what I mean? And, there's just, that's what this whole country is about. It's about having laws, and especially when it comes to this discrimination, because there was a point where you can get discriminated on against in, what was it, 29 states for being gay and like 34 states for being transgender.
Sure, yeah.
Like, it's unacceptable. No matter what, I don't care if I'm a transgender, I don't care if I'm bisexual, lesbian, or whatever, I'm still an American. You know what I mean? Like, if I have a job, they're still taking taxes out of my check.
That absolutely, yes.
You know what I mean? So if you're taking taxes out of my check, don't treat me like a second-class citizen. I'm still an American.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I don't get this, like, oh, well, you could pay taxes, but, you're still, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You can be.
We'll take your money. We'll
Yeah.
take your money, but please do not get sick. Do not need health care. Do not need any kind of mental health services of any sort, because we're not here for you.
Because the last time I looked at my paycheck stub, they
Yeah.
took almost $500
Yeah.
for federal alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the more you make, the more they take.
So I'm just like,
Yeah.
it kills me. Like, you could take my taxes, but still, like, you guys can still discriminate on me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm an American citizen. You know what? I'm trying to shoot for the American dream, just like anybody else.
Well,
I want to be able to buy a house. I want to be able to buy a car. I want to be able to have all the same advantages, just like anyone else. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's one of the things I do love about this country is that, I've been able to kind of really do those things. You know what I mean? I have all the fair opportunity. If I want to go buy a house, I can do that. If I want to have credit, I can have that. All this really doesn't really matter, but I just don't like how people want to come and try and make laws to, treat me like I'm a second-class citizen.
I get it. Well, that goes to the foundation of how this country was structured. So, we're going to wind back the hands of time, back to colonial time. You have this, back in colonial times, these 13 colonies that originated the United States had a king and queen. I remember when I used to teach colonial history over at Pierce College. Well, I didn't teach it. I was a tutor. I tutored colonial history at Pierce College. Many of the students that came to me just would tell me that, colonial history, U.S. history was so boring, they couldn't stand it, blah, 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 and they were failing, And so, I always tutored it from the loser side. Now, the loser in this was, of course, the British Empire. And I would tell them, well, you have to look at it from their side. King George looked at the Declaration of Independence as a declaration of treason. And all of a sudden, a couple of students, not all of them, sat up and they said, no, it's a Declaration of Independence. And I said, no, to the King of America. And they said, no, America didn't have a king. I said, see, this is why you're missing out on understanding colonial history of the United States. It was a colony of Great Britain. You were servants to the King of England. It was either you were part of the King of England, King of Spain, or King of France. That was it. Those were the three ruling powers here in the United States when the United States was being originated, when the wars were starting to happen, the Revolutionary War. And see, when when we went to war with Great Britain, we asked France for help. Louis the 16th, who was soon to lose his head, you know. And a lot of people, you know, just don't understand. They wrote that document in a way that they were trying to guarantee their freedom. Now, they wrote it for white landholding men. Years later, these documents have been reinterpreted for all Americans. And so, in that reinterpretation, it had wide-reaching consequences. It was broad in the way that, at the time, women still didn't have the right to vote. Women didn't have the right to vote until the early 20th century. A black man could vote, but a woman couldn't. So there was that suffrage movement going on. So a lot of people are not understanding the values that this country was built on. This country was built on discriminatory values. It looked to, even though we looked to be free, we looked to also discriminate towards our own. And it is just a horrible state of affairs. It was built on puritanical beliefs, and these Puritans, I mean, if you dressed the wrong way, they called you a witch, and they dragged you into the middle of the town square, and they hung you, and then they dropped you down, and they dunked you in a dunking stool, and then they took you and tied you to a stake, and then lit you on fire, you know, and called you a witch, and spit at you, and throw rotten food at you. This country was not built on kindness and the values that we are seeking today. But I think as Americans, we need to become better people. We need to treat each other with more respect.
Things are going to change.
Oh, they are.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't continue to sit and think like we're going to continue to live in the 18th century. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of things that were happening back then just aren't fitting in our society today. You know what I mean? It's just not. You know what I mean? A lot, you know, people today have the courage to kind of just be themselves. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now, when I say be to yourself, now, you know, I could be a transgender, but can the racist be who he wants to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's, you know, I don't, you know, support that, you know, because we're trying to get to a place in our society today where everybody's inclusive. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be judging people based on the color of their skin. You know what I mean? Like, I'm grateful that I came up from a time where I don't really see color. You know, I really try not to. You know what I mean? Like, I base people on their individuality. Like, based on how a person is. Like, if this is how you are, then that's how you are.
That's because you're thinking with your frontal lobe.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking with your frontal lobe. Don't let you get into a situation, because I think with my frontal lobe. But don't let me get in a situation where my button gets pushed, my temper flares, and I hear you call me a spick, or a wetback, or a mojado, or whatever little racial slur you want to sling at me, because then all of a sudden I stop thinking with my frontal lobe, and I start thinking with my middle brain, or even worse, with the stem, which is primal. And now all of a sudden, you got a different kind of bitch on your hands. Mm-hmm. You know? And I'd like to think that that I can keep my composure, but there has been many times that I've been in a situation where somebody has called me something, and I stop dead in my tracks. Actually, one of my neighbors. Mm-hmm. One of my neighbors, he smokes pot in public areas, and he literally blew a puff of smoke. Now, see, I'm clean and sober, have been for 10 years. He blew a big old puff of smoke in my face and actually held the joint. And I've told him time and time again, I'm in recovery. Please don't fuck with my recovery. And tried handing me the joint. And I just walked past him. And he says, you see, that's what's wrong with these bitches today. And when he said that, oh, I stopped dead in my tracks. And I turned right back around. And I looked at him and I said, I have told you once and I have told you twice. Don't be fucking with my recovery. I said, you take that pot and you get the fuck out of my face. I said, because I do not appreciate you fucking with my recovery. And I mean, it just, ugh. Now, I don't believe in laying hands on an individual. I will not do that. Because then, all of a sudden, I open up the door for them to lay hands on me. And that can be a tricky little situation with a girl like me.
You know? I was actually thinking about this earlier, because I wanted to kind of go into this one little thing about when people, there comes a line where it's like, are we educating or are people just being flat out disrespectful? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, where is it that we have this line where, because education becomes a point where it's like, I'm tired of educating. You're being disrespectful. You know what I mean? Now, I was thinking about this one story, because you talked about the segment earlier, I went to the store one day, probably about a year ago, and I'm kind of just minding my own business, and the cashier, the guy that was there, he starts talking to this girl and says, oh, Monty Combs, you know what I mean? And I turned and I looked, and then the girl looked at me, and she was like, now I got my emotions. I got my emotions. I went, I got all my, because I don't do good. I let shit fester. And I got all my stuff, and then I went home, and then it's festering. You know what I mean? I didn't address it right then and there. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let him get away with this. So I went back to the store with my cell phone. I turned that bitch on, and I started filming. I had my pepper spray right there. I was like, what did you just call me a Monty Cohn in front of this other dude? He was like, what? Like, he was so shocked and surprised, and, he was like, no, he tried to back his way out of it, you know what I mean? Because they never tried to admit it, like, because I understood what he said, I've been around Latinos, like, most of the
No.
Honey, I love.
And that particular slang is Caribbean slang. That's Caribbean slang, honey.
Like, I'm down for my Latinos. I was actually thinking about it. I was like, let one of my Latino poppies get shot and killed. I'll be out there fucking protesting quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I get it.
So it's not even like that. It's just, there comes, like I said, there comes this line where it's like, do I need to educate or am I being disrespected?
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. There's a lot of disrespect going on in this country. Here recently, they've been tearing down these Confederate soldiers all throughout the South. And see, I understand this. Because they represented a hatred, a continued hatred in this country. They represented slavery. They represented a lifestyle. I know that the Dixie Chicks are wanting to change their name.
Yeah.
Lady Antebellum is wanting to change her group name. There is this social consciousness going on now, and they're thinking about exactly what is it that they are representing. But you also got to remember something. George Washington had slaves. Andrew Jackson had slaves.
And we coming for him.
Thomas Jefferson
Yeah.
had slaves. And let me tell you something. Some of these people are still on our money.
It's going to be, like I said, because Trump, he signed an executive order to anybody that defaces monuments. Well, it was already a law, so he just signed a piece of paper to kind of look like he's doing something when he's really
Like
not
he's
doing
doing
anything. You know what I
something,
mean?
yeah.
So all I gotta say is like, because there's this monument up in the White House of Andrew Lee or somebody that we tried to take down.
Oh, generally.
General Lee.
Yes, yes, yes.
All I gotta say is like, we may not be able to get those monuments down today, but they're gonna come down. You know what I mean?
Right, right,
Because
right.
like I said earlier, like they don't. These monuments have no place in our society today. You know what I mean? So he can do whatever he needs to do and to try and protect them or whatever he needs to do. They're coming down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's going to start with these monuments, okay? And then, because also Harriet Tubman was supposed to be on a $10 bill, and they're trying to push that back to 20.
I thought that she was supposed to go on the $20 bill.
The $20 bill.
Yes, yes.
And they trying to push that back. Like, no, that was really supposed to start this year. And they're going to share the bill and all this like that. So, you know, I just feel like George Washington, even our money, we're going to probably wash all this stuff clean. You know what I mean? Of any type of racism or slave, you know, like when Aunt Jemima, they
Oh, yeah,
changed
yeah,
that.
yeah, they're changing that. Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben.
I've,
All this stuff's
I've never
changing.
bought any of those products.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. You can look in my cabinet right now. You're not going to find any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't buy that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I don't shop at Chick-fil-A.
Me neither. I've never, no.
You know,
Yeah.
these kind of things are not what I engage in, nor do I support this kind of stuff. Now, as far as tearing down these monuments, see, I think there needs to be what I consider a museum of hatred. And that's where these monuments belong.
Yeah.
Is in a museum of hatred. And there needs to be a backstory. Because, see, I don't believe in forgetting shit. I don't think we should try and forget the Holocaust. You go to Poland and you can visit Auschwitz. And they preserved everything. You walk through this, you pay a fee, you walk through this concentration camp. Do you know where that money goes to? It goes to Jewish charities to help them out. And I think that is an important thing. I think we need a museum of hatred where all of these monuments belong, and it should go to help out the NAACP. It should go to help out the United Negro Fund. It should go to every single bit of damage that these individuals did towards an American population, because I'm sorry, I don't think you know too much about Africa. It's a big continent. I don't even like calling you an African American. I think of you as an American. And I think that you come from a generational and disproportioned group of Americans that have lived under a situation that is not productive towards success. I know what a project looks like. Do you know what a project looks like?
I guess. I mean,
You grew up here.
I've never really like lived in a project, you know. I mean,
But you hung out there, huh?
Well, if I needed to, if I need to, honey, I will be there. So but it's just like I said, with these monuments and all this other stuff, that shit's fucking coming down.
Yeah.
So get ready, and we're gonna clear, we're gonna clean out our society of all this, I put it in Smithsonian or whatever. I don't care, but we're not going to continue to honor and respect that part of our history. It's not honorable. It's not of love. It's not of patience. It's not of tolerance. It's of, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you're not white, then you're less than. You know what I mean? And that's just not the America that I know. That's not the America you know. And I know a lot of white people don't, like, that's not the America that they know.
Right. Well, for me, like I said, I've got great issues with that. And then there is something about, Lamar mentioned something about Stone Mountain in Georgia. And let's take a look at that. He says that's where the Klan meets up at. So.
And if we got to tear down Mount Rushmore, honey, let's tear that bitch down too.
Well, yeah, oh yeah. This is these are Confederate soldiers that were commemorated on Stone Mountain, Georgia. This is this has got to go.
Tear the bitch down.
This has got to go. They shouldn't have defaced this mountain anyway. I bet you they stole it from Native Americans in some kind of way.
Yeah.
All of this land got stolen from Native Americans. But yeah, and this is, what is this, a Klan rally here? I see nothing but white folks. Oh my goodness. This is horrible. And see, look, they commemorated them on money in some kind of way. Some type of antebellum. It's just it's horrible. It was a horrible way of life. Nobody can lay claim to saying that slaves were treated fairly in any kind of way, shape, or form. So let me pull the volume down on that. Hello, Ernesto. Welcome to the show. Okay. And so, William T. Thompson, designer of the Confederate flag. Lamar, why do you know all of this stuff? I would, designer of the Confederate flag, as a people, we are fighting to maintain the haven-ordained supremacy of white man over the inferior of colored race. And as a national emblem, it is significant of our higher cause, the cause of a superior race. I think, to me, that just takes my breath away. That is what that flag represents. I know for a fact that the swastika used to be a religious emblem for a Hindu faith, and then Nazis came along and appropriated that symbol. And now it tends to represent hatred, and it is, but it was adapted from its original form. It is kind of sad, And I remember one time I designed, was in the design process of my logo, and I designed the A and the Z in such a way that somebody had told me it looks like a swastika, and so I reversed it around so that the A and the Z looks more like a fish instead of a swastika, and so that's how my logo changed a little bit. But you know how I do the AZ, like I've done it a different way, and I had reversed it. It was the A was towards the dot, and the Z was facing outwards. And somebody had mentioned that it looked, so to stay as far away from that symbol, I reversed the way my logo looked. So I am very, very sensitive. Oh, yes, I remember, yes, that you went to Morehouse. Past the capital of the Confederacy. We literally have people buried on the campus from the Civil War. That is quite breathtaking. Anyway,
but like I said, when it comes to, maybe a lot of times, like, maybe all this stuff had to happen so that we can address it. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of times, a lot of this racism and everything has really just been suppressed, and it's really been suppressed and suppressed, and it's a time of our country to really take a look at this type of shit. You know what I mean? And find ways to, address it. Because we had Obama in office, like, yeah, that's great, but if Trump can go in there on the racism, pull the race card, we still have a serious problem. And I'm glad we're addressing it, and um, you know, it's a very good thing.
Well, this is what I do know about human nature, and it is an unfortunate thing about human nature. Okay, in order for me to feel better about myself, I have to keep somebody down underneath me. I have to. That is the superiority complex that most. It is just natural in human nature. So let me look that up. Superiority, superiority complex. So, which conceals actual feelings of inferiority and failure. So, for that's what it is. And you know, white men group up in a band. You never see the Ku Klux Klan individually. When they come to burn a cross, it isn't like one of them that come to burn the cross in your front yard. They come in a whole group, so to make sure that your family doesn't overpower them in some kind of way and whoop their motherfucking asses in your front yard. You know?
I find I just trip because these racists nowadays they're getting bold. They are getting really bold. Like they'll call somebody the N word like it's 1940s.
Well, I was watching.
I was like, how you gonna call somebody N word? Don't you know we will beat you down for that?
Yeah. Well, I was watching the news this morning. It was on CBS, and on Trump's Twitter feed, some man was driving by in a golf cart and hollered out "White Power" to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump hollered back, "White Power!"
What?
Oh, yes, he did, and he posted it to his Twitter feed. Now, I have always known that this man has an agenda, and that this man is racially motivated. It is what it is. And, I kind of felt that when we had 8 years of Obama, that a lot of this stuff was in the past. But it wasn't. You know what was happening? It was bubbling and brewing and festering.
They just couldn't stand Obama. I mean, I wonder if they just went to bed just like, oh, they were just mad.
This is the thing that I'm no, yes, no, it is. And the thing that I am now realizing is just as many of us that are loving and kind and accepting of each other, there is just that many of us that are hateful and disrespectful of each other. And I'm telling you, this divisional stuff that's going on, where they divide us up into Asian American, African American, Latino American, that shit's got to stop. Because the only way that we will succeed in this is if the minority groups band together and say, okay, we're different, but you know what? I like different. I don't know about you, but I like some Chinese food. I like me some Mexican food.
I love it.
I love some soul food.
Yeah.
I do.
As a matter of fact, I want some soul food.
I do.
I want some cornbread with some butter, some greens.
Yeah.
And some, I was just like,
that sounds good. It does. Some Church's chicken, honey, and French fried okra. Yes.
Oh, that's not, I mean.
Or well, there's a Popeyes right down the street.
Yeah.
Yes. And they've got all of that. I love all of that. And so therefore, but there is that other side of the coin. Just as many of us that are that loving and that accepting. I'm realizing now there are just that many of us that are hateful and can vote an idiot like Trump into that. And I just would like to think that we have our shit better together. That we dropped the ball. We let some idiot like that up into the White House, But this November, whether we have to vote by mail or whether we go to the polling place, we get that little motherfucker up out of there.
I would really be shocked and surprised if Trump wins a second term. Like, people are just
like I said,
tired.
I would not be surprised for the simple fact that I have awoken. I realize just as many of us, like I said, just as many of us that are loving and supportive of each other. See, I don't want to know that the neighbor is sick. I don't want to know. See, this pandemic is spreading like it is because we don't have a healthcare system that would take care of everybody. I believe that. I believe that this shit is going on because we don't have a healthcare system that is taking care of the population the way we need to be taken care of. Because if we did, we would have caught this before it got to this country. Number one, we wouldn't have opened up for business like we did. Florida and Texas are closing back down. If you guys aren't paying attention to the news, COVID-19 is spiking in these areas and they are closing back down. Miami beaches, this morning, the Dade County Sheriff's Department was patrolling up and down the beach. They are closing that shit down, and that is all due to the president wanting to reopen the economy.
Like I said, I really think, the country just, look, shut it down. Shut this shit down, okay?
Yeah.
Test everybody, okay? And whoever's not positive, whoever's positive, let's get them treatment. Whoever's not, go back to work, okay? And then, when you come into this country, you got to get tested immediately, Like, it should just be massive testing, I got tested the other day, I came out negative,
Excellent.
And,
Excellent.
test, we have the test, get tested, and we're good.
Yeah.
I just, I don't understand what this political thing, I don't want to wear a mask. I was watching on Facebook the other day, people oh, you're taking away my constitutional rights to,
going into the store without the mask on. I don't know what that
I
is.
have a breathing problem. They put her out. They put this lady out because she was like, I have a breathing problem. My doctor said, I can't wear a mask. Like, that's a lie. Like, you just don't want to wear a mask. Like, what's really going on?
Yeah, I get it.
I can't.
I get it, personally, I don't necessarily like wearing the mask, but I would rather wear the mask than to get sick.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not trying to have one of those.
It is my choice. I don't have to go out. I don't have to go out, and I'm grateful, by the grace of God, I haven't gotten sick yet, and the people that I've hung around with, you've been tested, Brian's been tested. In a couple of weeks, I have to go and get tested because I'm having a surgery, and they won't do the surgery unless I test and test clear. So, which is a good thing. I'd like to get tested beforehand to kind of know up front, and that way, but it doesn't matter, 2 weeks, my surgery is August 10th. 2 weeks before that surgery, I may shut things down for a little bit and just not do anything or be in contact with anybody, just to be that extra kind of careful, because I don't want to run the risk, and I know nobody wants to give it to me. I'd like to think nobody wants to give it to me intentionally, but I don't know, because I have no idea, what people are really up to, what their motives are. But it is, one of those things that it's confusing. I do know this, that COVID-19 doesn't know that the bars are shut down, doesn't know that we are sheltering in place, nor does it care. If you think for 1 second that this virus is slowing down because of anything the government is doing, you have to, it comes down to the individual. You have to take precautions. You have to wash your hands frequently. You have to sanitize. You have to be mindful of what you touch and what you're breathing and what you come into contact with. That is what will help prevent the spread of COVID-19. So,
And the world's watching us. You know what I mean? And they're
Well,
looking
yeah.
at the numbers too.
Well,
And they're like, look.
we're not allowed to go to Europe. Europe said, "You're American? No, thank you. You cannot come and visit us until you get your numbers under control. You cannot come and visit us."
I mean, it's crazy. Like, we can't even go to Europe. You know what I mean? And we're sitting up here trying to be like, oh, okay, we're going to do a travel ban and all this bullshit, you know, but we can't go to Europe because we can't get our numbers down.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame Europe. I don't blame.
I don't
Europe.
blame them either.
Yeah,
you know.
I wouldn't want an American, especially an American like Donald Trump over there, who doesn't wear a mask, who holds number one his rallies. Oh my God, it's 12:46, so let's start segueing into this loser of a rally that he conducted over there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've already pulled it up on the screen. Where did you see the update about the bars shut down? Oh, okay. We've got conversation going on here amongst each other. Who died from it? You know how funeral folks always say, she looked good, like they sleep. No, they look sick, like they went through something. Oh my, this is just a wow kind of thing. Anyway, so we're changing the subject a little bit. The COVID-19 thing is really a pandemic. It is ravaging the country. It is something that we really have to be careful around and be mindful of. Chicken soup is not going to fix it.
Yeah.
Believe that. So we're looking at the rally. Number one, usually these political rallies would have full seats. I see a lot of empty seats. Over half of this arena is empty at this Trump rally. Now maybe they took the picture a little bit early or something like that, but yeah, they.
So what I heard about this was that there were these trolls on TikTok. And what they did is they started reserving a whole busload of seats. And for some reason, like I was talking to my mom about this the other day, Oklahoma only has like 3.6 million people in the state.
Okay.
Okay? How is it a third of those people come to see Trump?
I don't know.
A third of it. He said he had thought that 1 million people were going to come and watch him in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That he was going to have, not only the stadium was going to be full, but there was going to be people outside. You know, over 1 million people coming into Tulsa, Oklahoma to come see Trump. A third of its population. So I really think that I want to thank those people that went and did what they did, because they don't even know that they saved those people's lives.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, that was an intervention of just...
Yeah, but the organizers... This is the crappy thing about it. Instead of, having all of that extra space and then social distancing within that space, these organizers crammed everybody into the bottom. If you look at this picture, you can tell the organizers crammed everybody into these bottom spaces right there. Now, they made sure that he had 6 feet. He was always 6 feet away from everybody. So he was practicing that social distancing. See, look at him. He's not anywhere near any of them. Not anywhere near any of them. During this entire time, he's not anywhere near any of them. But look at these poor fools. These poor fools all crammed next to each other. It's just horrifying. So, we're going to look at what the news said about some of this. Now, a friend of mine told me to stay away from CNN because CNN is, anti-Trump. But I'm going to give CNN a chance here. So, Tulsa, Oklahoma, CNN says just fewer than 6,200 people attended President Donald Trump's rally. He was supposed to have how many? A million?
A million.
A million. There you go. 6,200 attended President Donald Trump's rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Tulsa Fire Department said Sunday it figured Trump's re-election. All right, let's click on it and just read a little bit more into it. Okay.
I just about like, how is there people so disconnected from like, okay, they had to sign a disclaimer to even go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, if you catch the COVID-19.
Yeah. But don't believe it. It's not real.
It's not real.
But if you
catch it, you can't sue us. Yeah.
How does that work?
So, a figure Trump's re-election campaign is disrupting as it also seeks to blame radical protesters and the media for its smaller than expected crowd. Yes, because of course, he's so popular, everybody wants to come and see him. Anyway, I'm not going to read any further into that. NBC said President Donald Trump is furious at the underwhelming crowd at his rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the Saturday evening. A major disappointment. So that was that was according to NBC. Now Fox News, I don't think Fox News is also reliable. It's just my opinion, okay? Trump 2020 Communications Director Tim Murtaugh told Outnumbered Overtime on Monday that the fire marshal's count for attendance at Trump's campaign rally, Tulsa, Oklahoma. We gotta read further because I think this is where some fudging of the numbers has been happening. Let's see what this says about it. You know you can't trust Fox News. Fox News always giving you all kinds of garbage. You know, it's even slow to load up here. Let's see. All right. Count for the attendance Trump campaign rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma was wrong. Murtaugh made the statement after several media outlets, including CNN and MSNBC, were quick to point out Trump failed to fill the arena despite the expectations of a packed house. It figures Fox would, you know, I mean, we can see with our own eyes that they just packed the lower portion of the building. The arena's capacity is 19,000. I don't know why they thought a million would be there. So
the overflow from the outside.
With
they
the
had
overflow.
a big, you know.
Yeah. So anyway.
She gets on my nerves.
Oh yes. She works for Fox, so yeah, she's horrible.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, that's what you know. That's what we have. Okay. Look at all this chit-chatting going on with our viewers here. Okay. Sorry for the incorrectly writing of and our viewers are so polite. They're just polite. I love it. I love you guys. So anyway, so Donald Trump's rally, at least I think that he's not getting the kind of support that he once had. And in my eyes, that's a very, very good sign. However, you know, it's hard for me to be Team Biden. You know, I don't.
I'm all the way Biden.
Well,
all the way.
He's the lesser of the two evils, and I'm going to vote for him.
All the way.
I'm going to vote for him. He's the lesser of the two evils.
That's my president.
Okay. It's okay.
That's my president.
He's okay. You know, he's getting my vote. You know, because I prefer him over the idiot we've got now. But really, what we really need is some candidates that are willing to, because I'm going to tell you something about, I'd like to see politics, you know, politicians originally it was a job to be of service. You know, kind of like the way we do in AA and in NA, we are individuals that are being of service to the community. And we don't have that going on with our politicians. we've got a bunch of corrupt individuals that are seeking, that idea of serving the community and being a better individual has been lost. You know, I do like Bernie, you know, although Bernie just can't pull it off. I like the idea of free education. You know, I think I see it with a lot of European countries, and I work and I do pay taxes, so
Well, you know how they did the stimulus check and how they fronted up all this money just like that makes me like, maybe you guys could, give free health care and free insurance.
Oh no, they had that money.
You know what I mean?
They have that money.
Like
They have that money, and they're going to run a deficit over it too. They're going to run it on the backs of their children. That's the way it goes.
I do think that Bernie should play a role in this administration if we.
Well, he's still a senator.
Yeah.
He's a senator. From one of those.
I was always Biden Bernie also, anyway, because I think that this party needs to come together, and it's just not. It's not. The Democratic Party is really starting to, go in a certain direction. You know what I mean?
It is. I'm just wondering who he's going to pick for a running mate.
I'm still wondering. I think it should become all head.
It would be nice. It would be nice, but like I said, we're having to go up against the good old boy network, and I don't know. It's going to have to be somebody strong, that's for sure. He's going to need a strong vice president. It's going to have to swing a lot of votes. I think it is time for a female vice president.
But for me personally, maybe for me it's not that huge of a deal. Like I think, Oh, you know who else I love? I love that mayor of Atlanta. What's her name? Have you heard of her?
Oh, yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
Like she was like, you guys gotta watch the mayor of Atlanta when she told those people to go home. Like she was like my black mama. Like go home. I was like, okay. I forgot what her name was.
Okay, well we can find out real quick.
I love her. I really do. Like, if I think that she should be considered as well.
Well,
yeah. Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Oh, well, that's a cute little name. Bottoms, yes. She's young, an American lawyer. She's a lawyer. The 60th current mayor of Atlanta. She was elected mayor 2017. Prior to becoming mayor, she was a member of the Atlanta City Council, representing part of Southwest Atlanta.
I like her. I do. There's something about her. Like she gives me like my black mother. Like she's been very strong and very beautiful. I really like her, and the way that she did her city of Atlanta, like she's my black mama. Like I love her. Like she's amazing.
Yeah.
And I really think that she'd be a really good
vice president.
Yeah.
Okay, so Keisha Bottoms, we got one.
It's Keisha Bottoms.
We got one vote for Keisha Bottoms. I wonder who else do you guys think would make a good vice president? I'm just not quite sure. We won't find out until August, which doesn't give, I think September they're going to have the national convention. I'm wondering what that's going to look like.
It's virtual.
It's going to be virtual? Yeah. So, that's going to be peculiar in itself. That'll be one of the first times they do something like that. So, there's going to be all kinds of complications and all kinds of problems. And Elizabeth Warren, you just like that stuffy old white woman, don't you, Lamar?
Oh, no. I like Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I like her. Trump has really tarnished her to the point where, like, I just don't think.
Well, she would spit on him. So I don't mind her, you know.
I like Elizabeth.
I don't mind anybody that wants to take a swing at him. So you know, if that's the deal, then that's the deal. So you know, I'm okay with it. I really am. You know, because like I said, I just do not care for what's going on with this particular president. You know, and that is that's my take on things. And it is 1 o'clock. I'm going to put my hair up in a bun, and me and Cindy are getting ready to go do lunch somewhere, some southern cooking. Alrighty, got my hair up. I'm ready for some Popeyes. What about you?
Sounds good.
Does it? So, my name's Francesca Oz, my co-host.
Cindy Davis.
There you go, Bougie Duchess. Saying bye to all my little Dutchies out there. Mwah. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.